Hello, and welcome to Red Clay This Month, the show that brings to light important educational issues that affect the students at the Red Clay Consolidated School District here in Wilmington, Delaware. I'm Dr. Judith Conway. I'm the Supervisor of Unified Arts here at Red Clay, and I'll be your host for this show. Now, today's show, we're going to discuss career pathways in our high schools, why they're required and why they're important to our students. Here to tell us about some of the exciting new programs being offered is Louis Mingione, Supervisor of the Career and Technical Education Programs here at the Red Clay Consolidated School District. Let's welcome Lou. Hey, Lou.
Hi, Dr. Conway. Nice to meet you again.
Yeah, Lou and I know each other for a while, so nice to meet you again. Yeah, I'm very nice to meet you too, Lou.
Always a pleasure to be with you, Judith.
Oh, thank you. And seriously, always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come do this and talk to us.
Absolutely.
So I'm really excited about hearing about career pathways and the new ones that we're going to offer.
Yes.
But let's start at the beginning. So tell me, what is a career pathway? What is it, and why do students have to choose one?
Sure. A career pathway is a cluster of three courses at the high school level that a 9th, 10th, and 11th grader would participate in. And it is a focused sequence of courses, meaning that they're kind of articulated to an end in mind. There's one answer that I can tell you that this is a requirement for all students to graduate, just like English, math, and science are, and world language. But more importantly, it's an opportunity for students to experience a potential pathway in life in terms of work experience, and to figure out how some of the other subjects that I mentioned kind of are integrated into that particular pathway that they choose.
So sort of authentic experience based? Like, can you give me an example of just, a couple?
I'll pick AI High School is one. Right now they have a credit union that they run within the school. Next year they're going to introduce a new pathway called the Academy of Finance. So students will be able to go through those three courses of study within the Academy of Finance and enhance their work in the credit union, or maybe even do a work-based learning type thing in their summertime or in their senior year.
So this would be great for kids who are thinking they might want to go into business and any of the financial aspects of business, banking being one of them, but really any of the financial aspects of
Absolutely,
business.
absolutely. Insurance, and it hopefully will allow business partners that we can make contacts with to really enhance that experience for students. They may not go into that particular line of work per se, but just the experience of going through even the interview process, a mock interview in a business setting, or learn how a business works, it will carry them through life.
It's those soft skills we often talk about,
Yes.
but that aren't really so soft, that are really some of the basics in terms of, well, expressing what you know and having people have confidence that you do know what you know.
Absolutely.
And being able to converse with people.
The collaboration, the teamwork, those skills, even though they are in the academic setting, in the setting of a workplace or the dynamics is something that students, that experience will definitely help them in the future.
So most of the pathways are career-based.
Yes, they are.
I know there's, because I supervise the arts teachers, which I love, and the world language teachers and
Yes.
librarians, but not to leave anyone out. But I know there's an art pathway for kids to be able to take 3 successively more difficult art classes for those kids who are thinking that, maybe design, some kind of design career is in their future.
Right. There are definitely pathways that fit that bill. There's I'll pick one out as an example. There's one at Cab Calloway, the digital media avenue that we have there, which is kind of slated for this year to kind of get enhanced. So they'll kind of broaden their horizons, if you will, in that pathway a little bit. So yes, that is definitely an opportunity for students in that particular school and other schools that have pathways to take advantage of.
So we've talked about a couple, but like maybe they don't appeal to me. So what's like, how many pathways do we have?
So if we look at all of our comprehensive, all the high schools within the district, there's approximately 25 pathways, different pathways that, depending on what school you're at, are offered. So there's a lot out there for students and families to take a look at as they're choosing which particular high school that their child is going to attend. Some of the new ones or enhancements that we're making for next year, I did mention Cab Callaway, I mentioned AI High School.
Right, AI High School was the finance,
yes.
Cab Callaway was the digital media.
At McCain High School, there are actually the environmental natural resource pathway that is going in for this coming year.
Climate change.
Yes.
We're raising the scientists that are going to
absolutely
help us fix that.
That's absolutely correct. We're also putting in a K-12 teacher academy here at McCain.
Very nice. You and I both come from teaching backgrounds, and yeah, and you know what's interesting? Teachers don't always teach in just regular K-12 schools. Like there are a lot of corporate teaching opportunities and medical teaching opportunities and all of those kinds of things. So that's kind of interesting for somebody to be able to play with.
Sure, they could go through the program and end up to be a trainer for, as you mentioned, one of the corporate players that could be around here. There's also, we're enhancing a program at McCain. We're going to go from the make it an engineering by design class that used to be a manufacturing based course. Those courses are going to change a little bit, and all of the particular pathways that I'm mentioning all came with resources that the district is going to be receiving, because we not only applied for the program of study, we actually applied for grants that went with these. So we're actually going to get resources so that the teachers can buy other supplies and again expand their base.
Right, because I would imagine that if you're doing some kind of, like, let's pick up the environmental idea. If you're doing some kind of environmental pathway, that you're going to need to be testing water and testing soil, and that involves different kinds of equipment, I would think.
Yes, and I'm going to send a little shout out to all the teachers that were involved in the grant writing. It wasn't just me. I figured out the logistics, but really the teachers did the writing that came from all the buildings that received the grant. So as you were mentioning, I left it to the experts, the teachers that are teaching the classes, to really figure out what particular materials that they would need to pull this off, so to speak, next year.
Right, because that's one of the big advantages, right, of pathways, career pathways, is that you get to do and to use what the career people do and use.
Yes.
So, like, if you have to pretend that this is a litmus paper and color it blue, that's not quite the same thing.
No. And again, as I was mentioning earlier, the idea is for a student to go through and learn those types of things with the real stuff, but then eventually in their senior year be working with someone in the field that they will be familiar with those particular materials, that they know how to do it by then. So
like maybe shadowing somebody, or maybe interning.
Yes,
all that
absolutely.
Kind of stuff?
And maybe even depending on the articulation agreement to actually get paid during the summer, which would be fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's still in the works right now, but that's the goal.
But good for us for striving for that.
Absolutely.
And recognizing that young people's time is important, and they have to save for college, and they have to save for cars and other things that are going to allow them to have a leg up on their career. Yes.
And one other program that we're enhancing is at Conrad, their nursing assisting program. They received money.
Oh, and of course, how perfect is it for that school?
Yes. And one other one at Conrad also is the middle school computer science, which is the first in our district first school to actually put that in at the middle school level. So the students will be able to go through their computer science in middle school and then actually continue the computer science pathway if they like into the high school.
And what career opportunities they will have, and you know, as proud Americans, that's something that that recent news has told us that we need to be raising good, strong, intelligent, resourceful computer scientists.
Yes.
to write the code and prevent hacking into the code,
Right.
and all of those good, strong things, you know.
And you just
It
touched
goes
on
on and
some,
on,
yeah,
yeah.
you just touched on another aspect of the career technical pathways, and that is the particular pathways are not just haphazard to be chosen. They are ones that have been studied through a labor market analysis, so that these are going to be high demand jobs. If these students finish the pathway, they might be able to get dual enrollment credits, as in the environmental, they can get AP credits. If they're in the Academy of Finance, they'll be able to get an accreditation for, through a national organization that they could go out and work. So really, it's about the experience, but there's also some goals at the end that students could actually take that piece of paper, if you will, and it will get them something. It could get them a foot in the door to get an entry-level job in computer science. It could get them credits to go towards a four-year university. So there's a lot of opportunity for students if they take advantage of it.
And I really wasn't aware before. I really like what you said about that there has been some research behind this saying that these are the jobs we're going to need. And I mean, that's really smart. How smart is that?
The research actually was done down at Georgetown University probably about a half a dozen years ago. So this ball's been rolling for a while, and now it's finally coming to fruition, so to speak.
That kids are going to have these opportunities.
Yes.
So maybe that's a part of how Red Clay identifies what pathways to offer. So
Yes.
is there more you can talk about
Yes,
that?
there's not a formula, but there's definitely a thought process that's behind it, and that is we look for a diversity of pathways within each of the schools. So we look at what they have and what they could potentially have. Also looking at the labor market in that area and the business partners that could be on our advisory boards for those particular pathways, the business connections that we could have once the students reach their senior year. So
Hence the banks with
Yes.
the finance. That makes perfect sense.
Yes, yes. So hopefully that one of the ideas could come about is the current pathway we have in McCain, the culinary pathway. We could even take pathways and make them more of a business model, meaning that there might be folks that could come in and maybe the culinary folks could feed them lunch. And that would be an organization that's outside of the school that would come in and bring those folks in, and they could serve them lunch. Again, to give the students an idea of this is how the real world, so to speak, the business world runs, and this is what you need to learn. So that's another aspect that could, instead of sending students out into the workplace, that workplace could actually be maybe even in the school and have
Right.
folks come to the school.
We could have a banquet here
Yes.
for, I don't know, maybe the Better Business Bureau is doing a banquet anyway,
Sure.
so they would come here to do it.
Yes.
And yeah, because I know like my groups use the culinary arts folks at McCain a fair amount for receptions and things like that, but that's like, it's sort of like your family.
Right.
You know, well, that's
Right.
just your family doing that for you.
Right.
But right, to have someone who is just really outside expecting you to be as competitive and as professional in your behavior and your presentation as anyone else out there is a real eye-opener.
Yes, it ups their game.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. So where can students and families, it sounds like, where can they get more information? Because it sounds like, especially moving from 7th and 8th grade, and you're looking at different high schools that
Sure.
that you want to have, you want to be looking ahead to say, I'm thinking about going here.
Right.
Does that high school offer what I'm interested in?
Yes. So I would say two main places. One is The school counselors at the particular high schools that you're looking at would definitely help you. And the second thing is their course catalog. Will also give you a description of the pathway and the description of the courses. So one in print, and then a person that could maybe help define those particular words that will be in that print.
Yeah. Well, excellent. Thank you so much, Lou. I'm so glad you stopped by today.
So am I, Judith.
Oh, good. And this is great information for our families.
Great.
It's fun and exciting and good to share. So please stay tuned. We're going to take a little break now, so please stay tuned for our next guest who will give us another perspective on this topic.
Morning, Gary. We are GetSchooled.com. You want a college education, don't you?
You know you do. Yeah, but I don't know where to start.
That's why we're here. We're free, handsome,
I think we're breathtaking.
and here to guide you through every step of the way, starting with attendance. Gary, financial aid forms. Biology homework, G. I got this. Is that brand? Colleges love extracurricular activities.
Chess really isn't my thing.
I got this. Doesn't matter. Go ahead. Picking a college, man. You and us go together like tacos and Tuesday.
And I love tacos.
Fire and ice.
Those don't really go together. Go to GetSchooled.com for more info.
Welcome back. Please join me in welcoming Amy Leary, guidance counselor at McCain High School, who's going to talk to us about what it's like from the student perspective. I am good. I'm so glad you're here with us.
Glad to be here.
Oh, good. So now we were just talking to Lou Mingione about all of the choices that are out there and all of the choices that are available. So he said people should refer to their guidance counselors. People should talk to their guidance counselors, and you're
That's
a guidance
right. That's
counselor.
right.
So it's a nice fit here.
Yes.
So with all of the choices out there, I as a Red Clay student, how do I figure it out?
From a very early time in school, the school counselors start talking about the careers that are out there, the options, how do you choose it, how do you know yourself to choose a career that would interest you. So they're getting lessons from their counselors all starting in kindergarten, all the way
wow.
up. So then the middle school counselors start talking more specifically about what career pathways are at the different high schools. So they'll give lessons on what McCain has and what Dickinson has and what AI has and Conrad and so on. So they're learning there what the different options are. Then the actual counselors from the high schools will go to the middle schools, discuss with the students what we have. We'll talk to them individually how to choose what they're going to want as far as a pathway is concerned. They also work on what's called a student success plan. Starting in 8th grade.
SSA, Student Success Plan, yes. Oh, SSP.
SSP, right.
Oh, duh.
So they, where they're doing career interest inventories and reading about different careers, and it'll ask those type of questions. Do you like to work outside? Do you want to work at a desk? Just learning to know themselves.
So they take all this information that they've thought about, and I'm sure discussing with parents as well and
Right.
friends, and these interest surveys. Do you like to work outside? Do you like to work inside? Do you like to talk to people? Do you like to work by yourself? I
Right.
remember
Do you like
some of them.
science or social studies? Those
Yeah.
type of things.
And then they start putting it together and saying, oh, well,
That's right.
here are my choices, here are the career pathways, and if I choose this one or this one, I can go to this school or that
Right.
school, or if I choose this one, I just have to go to that school. and then they start making their plans.
Right, that's right. Another good option is to go to the school's open houses. Usually in November they have the choice open houses where you can go see the facilities, see what the different programs are, kind of do a little research that way.
Right, and I bet you can probably talk to some teachers too on the choice open houses.
Yes, the teachers are there kind of displaying what their different programs are.
Oh, nice, nice. And speaking of November, that reminds me of the Red Clay Resource Fair. Most of the schools, if not all of the schools, I think all of the schools have a table there where you can walk around and browse and get lots of good freebie stuff.
Right.
And
ask questions.
Yeah, exactly. Ask questions and chat with people. I think that's the way a lot of kids feel comfortable, is talking to people and saying, well, can you tell me about this?
Yes.
And you get a different perspective than just reading something.
Agreed. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I have this career pathway. Lou talked a little bit about how it prepares a student for their future. What's your take on that? Like, what have you seen with kids that you've actually worked with?
Well, so the students are getting real world skills in these programs. For example, in our audio, radio, television program, they're actually seeing how to edit videos and how to produce.
I have a surprise later on in the show about that.
In the culinary program, they're actually going to the Blue Rock Stadium and working in the concessions, and the auto tech is working on cars. So they're actually getting the real world skills that they need in the program. They sometimes can get certificates where they can actually get a job. Say to the employer, I have this certificate, you know, I have these skills.
Like, these aren't just certificates that we make up.
Right.
I'm betting that they're like nationally recognized.
Recognized, yes, exactly.
Certificates.
Exactly.
Okay, so when talking about, you know, our strategic plan talks about college and career ready, that we're really preparing kids for careers.
Right.
With these pathways, and they may defer that career, they may take advantage of that career right away, or they may defer that career till after they've gone to college or a technical school or some other post secondary institution, but it's
to further the skills even farther, right? They can do either option depending on the program. Yeah, they can, you know, our preschool program here, our early childhood education, they can come out with a certificate where they can get a job in a preschool. So they can either go that route or they can go to a post-secondary college and get more of certification and continue. We have a lot of students who do both, actually. So they'll go work in a daycare while they're getting their college degree as well.
Yeah. I hadn't thought of that. That makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. And I bet some kids discover, well, you know, maybe that's not for me.
Very true.
Which is nice.
Important.
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
To know what you don't want to do. You know, I always thought I wanted to be X, Y, or Z, and now I've done some of that stuff, and it's like, I don't think I would like that.
Right. Maybe I can't do this for the next 30 years of my life.
Maybe I don't want to. So they start thinking about other things, other pathways that are open to them. Now, career pathways, I see the real the real connection between, you know, what I'm learning here and getting into a career. Do you think those kinds of things help students who are saying, I want to defer that career and go to college? Does that help them distinguish themselves on college applications, do you think?
I think it does. Definitely with, you know, on your college application, they want to see volunteer experience, and they want to see that you're participating in activities. So that's, the career pathways sort of makes that automatically happen for students. So for example, if you're in our animal science program, you're going to be a part of the FFA, the Future Farmers of America. So you're participating in activities that are associated with that and getting volunteer hours. So those are things that you're going to want to talk about either in your college essay or making sure you're putting it on your activity sheet to apply to college. So it's definitely that extra something that colleges want to see.
Right, that makes me maybe different from, I don't know,
all these other 2,000 applicants, right?
All the others,
right?
Because I have something interesting to talk about. Even if I decide I'm not going to go that route, I can still talk about it and what I learned from it, and distinguish myself that way.
That's right.
Well, Amy, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, always, always. We're going to take a short break now, but when we come back, we're going to see a very special video made by some very special kids. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to bring you the student perspective. What do students think about career pathways? What have they learned from them? So we asked a lot of kids what they thought. And so you're not going to want to miss that video because that's what it's all about. So come on back soon.
I dare you. I dare you to change the world. Yeah, you. Getting that college education.
I dare you to be somebody important.
Like be a teacher. Or a reality TV star.
I dare you to stand up here.
To call the shots.
To be a role model.
An inspiration. An innovator.
To be a teacher.
Think you can change my life? Make me excited about science like you?
Have a career that really means something?
Then do it.
I dare you.
The reason why 8th graders should come to McCain is because of the vision. The vision that the administration and that the teachers here have for each student is one of their success for jobs today and careers tomorrow.
You know, I think the best thing is that he called me up out of the blue one day and he goes, "Chef, thank you." And I said, "For what?" He goes, "Everything that you were trying to tell me in high school was exactly right."
I really believe that Thomas McCain High School right now is focused on careers and a comprehensive approach to education.
Well, entry level, upon graduation, my students are able to do customer service, sales, advertising firm. They could do graphic design. Majority of them will be certified at that time.
Won states, we went to nationals, got scholarships to a couple of trade schools, went to trade school, finished that. He's one of the top techs at Sheridan Ford down on Kirkwood Highway.
We do open farm Saturdays where students can come down and work on my farm and get some bigger scale production experience with goat and pork production. And then also those animals get to come in sometimes. So there's a really good chance that if you come in my classroom, we've got a bottle baby animal of some kind, whether it's a goat climbing on my desk or a piglet running all over the place, there's usually a bottle baby of some kind in my classroom.
I'm not thinking that every child that graduates from my class after 4 years in the pathway is going to go to engineering school. I mean, I'm thrilled when it happens, but the point is that when they leave, no matter what career they pursue, they know how to think critically and they know how to solve problems. And I don't care what you do, you've got to know how to do those two things.
The sophomores are chomping at the bit right now. They want to get in there and work with those little kids. Nothing gets a class of level 2 students quiet like hearing the preschool phone line ring, because they're thinking, we have another child that we can work with next year, and that gets them really excited about what they're going to have to look forward to.
Well, I helped design the McCain graphic design logo, and I have like an essential part in it. The M in it is mine, so I'm proud of that.
You know, every week we have like a different menu where we serve to teachers. Well, one week it was my job to make up the entire menu, and I cooked like all the food for the teachers. I ran like every class, showing every single student what was needed done. How I was basically chef for that entire week. Chef stayed in the background, just watched me as I did the job that he would usually do.
8th graders should come to McCain because it's very hands-on, and I think, for my opinion, that's the best way to actually learn how to work with animals, is working with them hands-on, with them in front of you, rather than just getting a piece of paper and them telling you what to do and what not to do. Being able to see the process that goes into working with the animals, I feel like that's a really effective way of learning.
I think my favorite is going into the radio room and just talking on the radio.
it's something different about McCain. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that you could do. You could do culinary, automotive, animal science. There's a bunch of stuff, like, you really don't know. Like, when I first came here, we didn't really have this room. This came in here like my sophomore year, and when I came in here one time, I was like, oh snap, this is cool. Like, I never seen some of this stuff before.
I would tell an 8th grader to come to McCain because McCain offers more than just the regular standard. Like, we have more than just, your science, your English, your math. We have early childhood, we have radio and TV. We have animal science with a full working barn. We have things like that. They might have the class, but we actually have, like, the pathway to be able, the chance to be able to co-op. Like here, you get to co-op in the preschool, the barn, you get to work with the animals. You don't just learn about them, you actually get that hands-on experience.
I started really liking film a lot more. Like now, level 3, just going along now, that's the only field that I'm hoping I'm working in the future is film. It's really the only thing that stands out to me. Everybody else wants to be like a firefighter, wants to do this, wants to do that. I want to do film.
Some people want to go into a hands-on career, and McCain's giving a student the opportunity to have jobs today, careers tomorrow.
Welcome back. Our next guest is Greg Boulden. He's a teacher of the Art Pathway at McCain High School. Now that stands for Audio, Radio, TV, Broadcasting Engineering. We just watched the video that was created by his students here at McCain High School. So, please join me in welcoming Greg Boulden. Well, hi, Greg.
Hi, how are you, Jean?
Thank
Nice to meet you.
Oh, it's great meeting you too. So, your kids just made that great video. So tell us, we see the product, it's like seeing the performance, and we know there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. So tell me, what are your kids learning that allowed them to put that great video together?
Sure. They're learning everything from the ground all the way up to advanced techniques. So when they start, our level 1 classes are learning about the history. Where did some of the shots come from? When you talk about a low angle or a high angle shot, why are they selecting that?
Thanks for explaining that.
Okay, so why are they learning what they're learning as far as I need a close-up. One of the key terminologies that you would use are extreme close-up, medium shot. So it's really getting down to speaking the language. So much like a Spanish class or a French class would teach their foreign language, there's all these terms in film and television production that I need them to be fluent in. So level 1s are really learning in that level. And starting to learn a little bit about radio broadcasting with advertising, because advertising is how we all get paid in the industry. So that's very important for them to know. By level 2s, they are working on our radio station, 88.1 FM. We just launched recently our students doing a morning show from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. So that's wonderful. They sit around and they find bizarre news to share. They tell about the weather. They have to pull traffic for us. And they can pick their own songs. It has to just be radio edits, but they can pick their own music and they're having a blast with it. So that's really neat. And then our level 3s are producing our morning show here at McCain. And every day there's new content as part of that show. And so we're pushing them to find creative ways to tell humorous dress code stories, etc. So that's advanced production levels. And I expect lighting to be thought about as well. Not just grab a camera, take the shot, but some of the lights we even have on the set today. I want them to know what they're called, how to use them. And then by the time we're in level 4, I'm working towards having them as a production team. They're not quite there, but eventually what I'd like that program to really encompass is our production team would support both EdTV, as well as people in our community could hire our students to go out under my direction as a class.
There's that authentic
and we can partner
connection.
Up. Exactly. So we become a business model for the community.
It's not just your family anymore.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, well, very interesting. Very, very nice. So they learn to do all this. Now, obviously, there are some careers in TV broadcasting and radio that they would sort of be aiming for. What are those things called? Like I'm sure there are a lot of behind the scenes, like I know the on-air DJ personality, but what are some of the behind the scenes? What are some of the other things that they'll be able to do?
Sure, I would say that a student graduating from McCain should be able to get easily any entry-level position in the radio or television industry. If you're going into film, a production assistant, an assistant director position, that's normally where most of us start off. You know, when I got out of college, that was my first job on set, where you're kind of just grabbing everything for everybody, learning the trade. They certainly know that, but what I'm proud to say is if somebody needed a board operator to manage the show, our students have been trained on that now with our morning show. So there are some advanced positions. They're going to have technical camera position work. So I'm looking to partner up with some local broadcasting places where we could do internships. And so I currently have a couple places I'm speaking with. So during the summer, they can do internships there, come back into the program, continue their studies. And by the time they graduate, they should be able to get not just an entry-level job, but a job that somebody's experienced to do. Same thing goes for the radio room as well. People that can compile news, news copywriters, people that understand advertisement. Our students should know enough about advertisement. They could sell space, get into the sales element, as well as running the board there as well. We are using a Simian automated system, which is the same thing when I was over at WDL, they had running on that system. So our students are learning the industry standard, which is great to see.
Oh, excellent, excellent. And this harkens back to something that Lou, my first guest, and I were talking about, that for career pathways to really work like this is really working, you've got to have the stuff.
Right.
You know,
right.
you have to have the stuff that the industry is using.
Yeah, and we're really fortunate here. We have plenty of cameras. Obviously, I would like to always grow more and become more up to date as we go. But our students, I think, are very fortunate here at McCain. We have enough computers basically for everybody in the classroom to be using. The radio station has both the streaming element, so anywhere in the world they can be listening, as well as the FM broadcast, which is wonderful.
That's really
cool. And I've adapted in my classroom, I put all the student work up on YouTube. And I'm doing that because I think it's important parents can see exactly what their kids are learning when they're learning it. And so they can have a measuring of what's going on. So I'm doing that for my other level.
And sort of developing a portfolio,
That's correct.
too.
That's correct.
Like these are some of the first things I worked on.
Right. By the time they graduate, they should have a portfolio.
But right. But by the time I'm a senior, then boy.
You see the growth.
Exactly.
Correct.
Look at this. This is pretty amazing.
Right.
Fabulous. So I'm sure not everyone, like Amy and I were talking earlier, I'm sure not everyone goes into the field that they've had this career pathway in. For whatever reason, they decide it's not for them. What kind of skills are kids learning in your pathway that would be good for other careers or just life in general?
Our level 2s, they have me first part of the day. So come 7:35 in the morning, I have improv games. And so I'm getting them out of their seat. We're being silly, we're unlocking the creativity.
My undergraduate degree is in theater.
Oh, excellent.
I love
Good,
improv
good.
games.
And I think improv is, I'm a firm believer, everything you learned in kindergarten is applicable for your entire life to teach you amazing life lessons. And so we do improv games there, and it really kind of takes the kids that are maybe more reserved, and I'm watching them as the school year goes on, they're starting to come out of their shell. You hear them finding their voice, which is really impressive and amazing to see. In addition to that, when they have to get in front of the camera and broadcast the 700 of their peers, they have to be confident to read the text that's on the screen. So it's giving them maybe some confidence issues for self-esteem to help boost, as well as those that are working together in a team environment. In the production world, one of the things I've always loved about is if I'm on lighting that day, the project is only as strong as my lighting, just as much as the sound person, it's only as strong as that sound person's effort. So team dynamics is really important. So if they don't go into a field of television or radio broadcasting, they'll be very equipped and adapted to, one, have the self-confidence for themselves to have a voice, as well as be able to have the team buildings necessary to go into a career field that requires, working together and being able to find a finished product.
Excellent, excellent. I've long felt that about theater as well, when I was teaching theater in the classroom, that I'd have most of my students that wouldn't turn out to be actors, but that they could all have the courage to stand up in front of a group of people and speak, or a small group of people and speak, and that they know the difference between speaking eloquently and not speaking eloquently, and when to use what. And so I really identify with what you have to say. Well, thank you for all your hard work. We really appreciated the effort that the kids put into creating the video that we just saw. And I really thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with me here today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Certainly. I would like to thank all our guests today for taking time out of their busy schedules to be here with us, and thanks you for tuning in to Red Clay this month. I hope to see you next month. Be strong, stand up for what's right. Thanks.